Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to InnoVision's third Meet the Finalists virtual reception. We have a fun and interesting hour planned as we introduce each of the finalists in the small business and education categories. But before we get started, I'd like to ask Amy, who's a member of our founding team of InnoVision and also the current chair of the board, if you could talk about our sponsors and a little bit of background on InnoVision.
Sure. First, welcome everyone. We're glad you could join us today to celebrate the innovative spirit and excellence of the 2020 InnoVision Small Business and Education Awards finalists. This afternoon, we'll honor their achievements, your achievements. Thank yous go to Kim and Leahy Law Firm for sponsoring the Small Business Award this year, and to Tektronic Industries Power Equipment for sponsoring the Education Award. I have to say, probably for more than a decade. Other award sponsors include Fluor Corporation, Milliken & Company, and Immedion. InnoVision was founded with a mission to highlight, promote, and foster innovation in South Carolina. And that mission continues to be our North Star. In addition to our educational and knowledge sharing forum series, we celebrate award finalists through this series of welcome events and also the award celebration, which will be November 17th. Our sponsors enable us to accomplish our mission, not just through funding of sponsorships, but also by providing guidance, hosting forums, and sharing their insights and knowledge. We're very grateful to our sponsors, many of whom have sponsored InnoVision for more than a decade. Contech Inc. is our award celebration sponsor. Velux America, North America is a Meet the Finalists event sponsor. And the South Carolina Research Authority is the headline sponsor for this Meet the Finalists event series. We really appreciate SCRA's sponsorship, as well as the role they play and the impact they have in South Carolina's entrepreneurial and innovation communities. I'm happy to introduce Bob Quinn.
The South Carolina Research Authority fuels our state's innovation economy by accelerating technology-enabled growth in academia, entrepreneurship, and industry. We do this through the work of our 4 programs: SC Academic Innovations, SC Facilities, SC Industry Solutions, and SC Launch. We have sponsored the InnoVision Awards for many years, and it is our sincere pleasure to sponsor this inaugural Meet the Finalists webinar series. The pivot to a series of virtual events rather than one finalist reception gathering actually provides us more time to hear about each finalist. We are passionate about innovation and are always energized and encouraged by the achievements of the InnoVision finalists. We already have a relationship with many of you, and we are looking forward to hearing from those we have yet to meet.
We'll start off with the small business category. So the InnoVision Small Business Award category recognizes a small business for creative technology development or innovative technology application. The technology innovation may be applied to a product, a process, or a service that is intended for sale to a customer or for use inside the organization. To be eligible for this award, the organization must employ fewer than 50 full-time employees or generate less than 20 million in revenue. So we've got 3 finalists. We've got Oversight Inc., Stand Yourself Up LLC, and Verify Intelligent Identification, although I think they just pronounced that Verify. I love the spelling of that. So if we could start off with JB, tell us about Home Care Link.
Thank you, Michael. And we clearly meet your definition of small business, unfortunately. But Oversight Inc. is a small software company located here in Greenville. We have one member that works in the office with me on a regular basis. I am JB Holman. I am the CEO and founder. Alex Harris works with me, and he is the client liaison manager. Then we have a virtual team, mostly in Greenville. We have Chris Gauze, who handles our Android application. We have Emily Kern, which handles our instructions and our virtual social media. And then we have Greg Pottinger, actually outside DC, who does our heavy lifting with the web app and our Apple application. Essentially, Oversight offers web-based services that record the actions and observations of mobile workers. We do this using smartphones and tablets. Technically, there are two pieces of software: the data collection apps, either Android or Apple, and the web-based software that converts the raw data into information. Initially, you probably know this, Michael, we started off by focusing on security guards and currently have customers throughout the US. It took a friend of mine to suggest applying a similar approach to in-home caregivers. These two types of mobile workers are similar in they are both low-paid hourly workers. Their performance varies dramatically, and they have very limited supervision. As you can see, there is one big difference. Caregivers are alone with your loved one and commonly have chronic disease conditions, as opposed to a security guard just merely protecting property. After this aha moment to find perhaps the most valuable mobile worker, it reminded me very clearly of the situation I experienced with my mother. After my father passed, she wanted to remain in the family home. This is very common. In fact, research will tell you the best place and the healthiest place for an elderly person to live is at home, as long as they have adequate care. My problem was she lived in rural Kentucky and I lived here in Greenville. My first problem was just finding a caregiver in her small town. When I did find someone, it was especially difficult to get a clear picture of what was actually going on. I got one story from my mother, a different story from the caregiver, and in both cases, the information was infrequent and inconsistent. As a result of my personal experiences, I decided to use the Oversight platform to create Home Care Link. Essentially, we provide timely feedback concerning the caregiver's activities: the who, the when, the what, and the where. As far as who, each caregiver has a unique PIN, and when they begin their visit, and that's the term for a shift, when they begin their visit, they sign in, so you know who is actually providing the care. The when, each action or observation has a specific timestamp. What? All required actions and observations are structured so that all the caregiver has to do is touch the appropriate button. We also provide the capability to take and send medical providers required home measurements, such as blood pressure, blood sugar, weight, etc. The where, each reported activity includes a GPS stamp. Additionally, the service provides immediate alerts sent to the care coordinator's smartphone. These alerts could include if the caregiver does not begin their visit as scheduled. Sadly, this is a common occurrence. Many arrive late, depart early. They also can get an alert for a predefined critical incident should one occur. They can also report a home maintenance issue, such as the air conditioner breaks. When you've got your mother or a loved one living at home by themselves, you've got to not only worry about them, you've got to worry about the facility they're living in. We give the means to check on that. When you're trying to manage miles away, there are always last-minute changes. New appointment, new visitor, new package. The service provides for changes by showing important timely reminders that can be updated for each visit and are reviewed on the home screen as soon as the caregiver arrives or signs in. The service provides capability to send pictures and free-form notes that become part of our standard reports. We also track any transportation provided by the caregiver and provide medication reminders. Finally, just before the caregiver ends their visit, they are asked to complete an end-of-visit checklist, whereby they compare today's care recipient condition to what they saw on their previous visit. We find this comparison between visits to be particularly important to point out changes or areas of concern. These are tough times when you're responsible for managing the care of an elderly loved one with a chronic condition. When you can't be there, Home Care Link can. You got it, Mike.
That's great, JB. I'll make one comment. The one thing that's always impressed me about JB and his company that he's working with currently is I lost count on the number of times you pivoted. You saw a new opportunity and you adapted accordingly.
Yes, yes. I learned how to spell pivot.
And this is the most recent of it, but this one seems like a winner. This sounds really exciting. All right, second up, we've got Stand Yourself Up LLC, and we're going to start off with Kevin Weir, who's going to tell us about Buddy Bar.
Thank you, Michael. So thank you to InnoVision, and thank you to everybody that's listening today. InnoVision's a really cool place, and just a quick shout out for you folks. I know you've been at this for more than 20 years, and so many great companies have come through and you've helped them out. And it's a brilliant platform for little companies like ours to highlight our innovations. And there's a platform to be able to show what we do. And we really appreciate it. So thank you for that. My name is Kevin Weir. I'm the business director for Stand Yourself Up LLC. I'd like to introduce our company, which is Stand Yourself Up LLC. We're a pre-revenue startup out of Anderson, South Carolina. And we're focused on a transfer medical device, and we call it Buddy Bar. And to take us through this innovation and the history and how it works, we have this dashboard. We'll guide you through that, and that will be done by our president and owner and the creator of this idea, Albert Grantham. And so I'll hand it over to Albert to take you through it. Thank you, Albert.
Thank you, everybody, for having me. I'm honored to be a part of InnoVision. So my wife and I are both physical therapist assistants. We both have degrees in exercise kinesiology. And right after I got out of school, I was in my clinicals, and this lady, she was non-weight bearing. She had fallen, broken her hip, and she was non-weight bearing on one leg, and she couldn't stand up, couldn't get out of her chair without somebody reaching in, like you see on that first picture right there. And my clinical instructor said, "Why don't you take her over to the parallel bars and she'll be able to pull up?" So I did that, and I was amazed. She stood right up. She pulled up with both hands. She stood up on her one good leg, and I put that in the back of my mind. I got back, got started going in the field, and I was working in a nursing home, and I was seeing this again. Then I started doing home health, where I currently work, and my wife and I do both. And we kept seeing this over and over, and people were pulling up. They were pulling up from their sinks and pulling up from their bathroom sink, pulling up from the parallel bars in the gym. So I was thinking there's got to be a better way. So I went home, and you can see my first prototype right there in the middle. It's my rough prototype. That was the first one that I patented. I took apart a walker, and first I zip tied it together, and then I took it to a machine shop, and I had them weld it together. So I took it back into the nursing home, and I had somebody use it with, of course, myself there guarding them, and it worked. They pulled up. So I said, wow, okay. So then that transformed on with the type of patients that'll be using this. These are people who can't stand up on their own. So if they had a caregiver help them before, now the caregiver has less assistance they'll need to get them out of their chair or off their commode. This increases the patient's independence. It enables them to get out of their chair more often, so building strength. One thing, too, that since I've been doing field testing, I've been doing field tests now for over a year, and the thing that patients like about it most is it gives them something to hold on to stabilize them before they go and walk. This increases their confidence. It decreases their fall risk. And you can see the different transformations of the product there. Now we're kind of in a 3.0 model, and you can see we have one that's universal for the commode and the wheelchair. The thing that works so much about this is sitting down low in a chair. Somebody has to rock forward, and they always have the strength in their triceps to pull up. But using the pull arms, they can rock forward, get their momentum, and use these big lat muscles to help them pull up into standing. So it's much more efficient. And again, taking stress off the caregivers there that'll be by their side. I want to show you guys, this is Patrick's story. He's got some cognition problems, and you guys will see here, he's usually a 2-person lift from his chair. So here he kind of freezes. He's trying to get up, trying to figure it out. He can't do it. I'm trying to give him a little bit of tactile pressure there to get him going in the right direction. And again, the first time he uses it, it's a bit of a struggle. He doesn't quite have it all together. I'm trying to give him some momentum here. Nothing yet. And then he's able to stand himself up by himself. And I applied a little bit of tactile cue pressure there, and you can see the transformation. He'll trying to transition from the wheelchair to the walker, and somebody who's got some cognitive deficits, that they need all the tactile cues, and I have to help him a little bit with his hands, but he's able to do a lot on his own. And this is typical with this type of person: Parkinson's, Alzheimer's. You've got people as they get older, just age related, they can't put these things together, but it's natural to reach out and try to get help. So I'm going to give it back to Kevin to introduce the team.
There's a lot to do in a few minutes. There's a much bigger story behind this, but I think you can see the basic principle. When he walked into my office, I was working for the Small Business Development Centers. It took me 10 seconds to realize this was an incredible innovation, and it just needed a business team around him. So what I was able to do is come together with people that I knew who were really experienced business folks. Bud Aiken has worked for multinationals. Per is a CEO for a automation company, and Rick Chen is a chief designer in the automotive field. We really got onto the design, got the design correct. We put our own money into the company, and we helped Albert Big build the company out of this idea. And so we're now in pre-launch. We run 3.0 version of this product. It's now ready to go. We're in field testing right now. It looks excellent. We're getting great feedback through our app that we've built to collect the data. And we hope to launch around December time with a full launch. And that's basically the story. That's what we've got for right now. We'll be happy to take your questions at the end. Thank you for listening. And thanks for listening to our story about Buddy Bar and Stand Yourself Up.
Okay, thank you both. That's a great story. I've got a 91-year-old father, and I can appreciate all the issues that you're talking about. Excellent. All right. Well, we now have our final finalist in the small business category, Verify Intelligent Identification. And Ben O'Hanlon is going to introduce himself and tell us about Verify.
Thank you, Michael. Again, my name is Ben O'Hanlon. I'm one of the founders of Verify. And at our core, Verify is a software company with our roots in manufacturing and logistics operations in terms of creating software to collect data from sensors and push that data to our cloud, so that we can manipulate that data, analyze that data, and then add value to our customers with that data. So when COVID struck, first quarter this year, manufacturing slowed down, and we pivoted our business to try to offer a solution that would help employers get back to work and get the country back open again. So the sensors that we began interfacing to, rather than being sensors on a production line, were thermal camera sensors. So we developed a an automated kiosk solution that I'll show you now, using a thermographic camera to automate the temperature screening process. So rather than having employees standing at the door taking coworkers' temperatures, which violates safe social distance policies and puts employees in harm's way of everybody coming in, this is a completely touchless and automated temperature screening kiosk that meets the FDA guidelines around the temperature screening process. There are two guidelines for the temperature screening process. One is that if you're going to take people's temperatures with a thermographic camera, you need to do it one at a time. The crowd scanning systems that you see in airports and public places, they're not effective because they're not very accurate. And the reason why they're not accurate is because they don't meet FDA guideline number 2, which is if you're going to take people's temperatures using a thermographic camera, you need to incorporate what's called a black body or a fixed heat source reference. So this is a device that sits within the field of view of the camera. The camera is located in the kiosk head here above the display, and it's looking at this heat source while it's looking at the person's skin surface temperature. The camera knows the temperature of this fixed heat source And so it's basically able to calibrate itself every time it takes a temperature scan and provide a much more highly accurate temperature screen than the iPad-based looking systems that you might have seen in some places. So the first thing we wanted to do was make sure we meet the FDA guidelines for accuracy. So we're able to offer the industry's highest accuracy in plus or minus ½ degree Fahrenheit. And then again, the other thing that we wanted to do as a software company was do great value for that data. So by pushing that data to our cloud, we were able to offer schools, businesses, value for that data by analyzing temperatures and analyzing health questions. So this is our data management portal. You can see the number of scans at this particular location in the past 24 hours, the number of fevers detected. We can go to a scan history, and we can see a time and date stamp and a temperature associated, as well as a CDC recommended threshold for temperatures. Our company also developed a health questionnaire app that we basically summarize in 3 categories of any travel, any exposure, and any symptoms. The app goes into greater detail. We are capturing responses from each user on a daily basis, and we're posting that data to our cloud as well. Lastly, what we wanted to do was personalize the data. So CDC sets a threshold of 100.4 degrees for everybody as far as fevers go. But as I'm sure you've all noticed in getting your temperature taken over the last 6 months, we all tend to run a different core temperature. So Verify incorporated a facial recognition software package from a US-based company that allowed us to uniquely identify employees or students so that we can establish a baseline for each individual coming through our kiosk. My temperature usually is in a 96.7 as far as skin surface temperature goes. And so if I came to work one day at a 99.7, every other camera system on the planet would just say, thanks, have a nice day at work. But I'm 3 degrees over my normal body temperature, so I am probably fighting an infection of some sort. So ours is the only system on the market that is able to uniquely identify individuals as they're entering, once they've been onboarded to the system, and then establish a baseline for that individual so that temperature thresholds can be set at plus 3 degrees over temperature, for example, rather than just the arbitrary 100.4 degrees for everybody. That is the system in a nutshell. We have a manufacturing facility in Manning, South Carolina. Our software development team is here in the upstate, and we have salespeople throughout the country selling the solution. We launched the product in April of this year and have been profitable each month since we launched the product and the technology. Lots of local manufacturers have installed the system, and basically anywhere that people are paying employees to take temperatures or paying a service to take temperatures, we can automate that process. We can make it safer. We can make it more accurate, and we can provide data that companies and HR departments can actually find value in, as opposed to just simple pass, fail, have a nice day or do not enter.
Excellent. You guys are doing phenomenal here on this time thing. And Aaron, thank you for helping that along. So those are our 3 finalists in the small business category. So now let's move on to the education category. And we've got 3 finalists in this category: ITology, Spartanburg Community College, and VR Mondi. So why don't we start off with ITology. Tammy, do you want to introduce your team and tell us about Tech in the Box?
Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Tammy Mainwaring, the president of ITology. I would like to start by introducing my phenomenal team. We've got Christy McLean, who's the director of our programs. Clint Hankinson is the director of marketing. Dakota DeLuca is a technical trainer. Rashana Jenkins is a technical trainer. And Shelby Villeneuve is our PR and communications and development. So thanks to the team for being here with me today. It's certainly an honor to be here and to be one of the finalists, and we are very proud to be among the finalists that have been chosen. So ITology is very small. We have 6 team members. When COVID hit, we lost resources, we lost people, and we were trying to figure out what we could do. Our mission is to promote, teach, and grow IT careers and to get kids interested in IT and to teach them how to think critically and innovate and solve problems. And, you know, in the best of times, it's been my experience that innovation is not the easiest thing, but during a global pandemic, it's hard to describe. And when you're going through all of the other ancillary issues, it's hard to describe how hard it is, which is why I'm so proud of this great team. So in the blink of an eye in March, our world dramatically changed. Everybody's world dramatically changed. And we were faced with a decision, you know, were we going to hunker down and cut costs, or were we going to be part of the solution? Were we going to help our community? And of course, it goes without saying that our team stared adversity right in the eye, did not blink, and we were ready to step out and help our communities and the state of South Carolina. Thus, the Tech in a Box innovation was born. So we launched our Tech in a Box program July of 2020 with the support of the South Carolina Department of Education. The theme of our box was create and innovate. We knew our constituents and our communities had a pain point, and we thought the best thing we could do was concentrate on a pain point. And that pain point was there was no bridge between traditional face-to-face learning over to online learning. So how could we help the community bridge over? And so we invented Tech in a Box. We filled boxes full of technology and gadgets, circuitry, many computers, things to tinker with, lots of technology, and we delivered that directly to the students' front door. So, you know, because no one could go out, it wasn't safe to go out. So we found a way with Tech in a Box to offer safe, project-based, hands-on learning in coding and circuitry, which was amazing, really. And we also had a component where we had a live ITology instructor 3 days a week. So the students and the parents, we got the parents involved, would log onto our platform and work with one of our excellent instructors to go through the activities and build and, you know, ask questions and explore and create and innovate. So the three differentiators of our program, and we planned this, you know, we had a purpose in planning. Our students were able to keep the technology. Programs team did a great job of planning the boxes so we could afford them and the students could keep the technology. We had additional hands-on activities and resources that parents could log in, and even after the 3 days of learning, the parents could extend that. And we had a live ITology instructor, albeit virtual. The instructor was there hands-on the whole time. And I just want to tell everyone, it would make your heart smile if you had seen these young students, these students' excitement and how well they worked together, how happy they were to have something to do while they were cooped up inside, and did really a great job working and learning virtually. The activities and challenges included with our Tech in a Box had no prerequisites, but we used a gaming system. So there were multiple levels to which a student could engage based on their experience. So lots of learning going on there. And just imagine learning to code with a pocket-sized computer and then playing rock, paper, scissors with your friends from across the state. And that's what we had going on while we were dealing with the, you know, not as much resources, not as many people. I'm telling you, this team took on a lot of work. So we believe that our Tech in a Box innovation will also breed and inspire even more innovation in the students. We have our core beliefs are that we want to get to the kids as young as possible. The younger we introduce them to technology, the more they will embrace it. We don't provide technology just for the kids to use or consume. That is the first step. But we go a step further, and the kids have to build. They have to problem solve. They have to take different technologies and put them together to solve problems. And isn't that what we need today? And isn't that what we need in the future? You know, you can't have a finite set of skills. You have to learn how to solve problems on the fly. And so we're using Zoom, right? And we're users of Zoom, but we teach the kids to design, develop, do the user interface, measure the capacity, those type of things with Zoom. So we do go deeper with that. And we just want our students to be proud to be the technology heroes of the future. And that's what we call them. So very quickly, the impact and benefits of our program. Well, we ran the program with the help of the South Carolina Department of Education. A big thanks go out to them. We served 240 students in the month of July. And the funny thing is, that is over double what we did in our traditional model that was completely site-based. So we served more students, and they were still allowed to have that hands-on kinesthetic experience. Also, we looked at the long term of this innovation, and we planned it to be scalable, expandable. It's very nimble and flexible. As our user requirements change, we can change with it. We can train the trainer. So that will cause a domino effect. Train the trainer, train the teacher, send the materials to the teacher, and 30 kids learn, and then 30 more kids learn. So we want to see it expand that way. Our programs, all of our activities are aligned to the South Carolina computing standards.
This is fascinating, Tammy. So unfortunately, I'm sure you could go on, but let's keep the program rolling, and I hope we'll have some time at the end. And this is a wonderful program. I can only imagine the looks on those kids' eyes.
It's beautiful. Thank you.
Thank you. Next, we've got the next finalist, the Spartanburg Community College. And Jay, why don't you introduce your team and tell us about the Center for Sustainable Agriculture.
My name's Jay Moore, and luckily I've got our department chair with me today, Mr. Jason Bagwell, if he'd just give a wave right there underneath me. But we have started just a few years ago. We're going into our third year really here in January, a Center for Sustainable Ag. Now, our horticulture program has been in existence for 50 years, starting in 2021. But we sat there and looked at trends, and we sort of said, is this locally grown, locally produced food? Is this a gimmick? Is this a fad? And after a while, we said, no, this is not. So we did our homework, decided the direction that we wanted to go with an agricultural program here at Spartanburg Community College to complement our horticulture program. And we decided to target the small producer, those folks that possibly want to be more self-sufficient, or folks that want to be more of a tailgate farmer, to bring that locally produced product to market right there in their own backyard. And so I think we've done a really good job in the short amount of time that we've created this program. And probably as far as innovation is concerned, where I think we've done a good job is we've sort of looked at old technologies. And when I say old, I mean ancient technologies, but yet we've looked at those technologies and said, this worked possibly thousands of years ago. It's being retooled and rebranded now. Let's introduce this to students to where they know that they can do this, such as water harvesting. This has been done for thousands of years, 2000 BC. There's cisterns that are shown in the Middle East, India, China. And so we've got the ability to harvest and hold 6,000 gallons of water off the roof of our facility, which is sort of a small metal building that we finished the inside with a classroom space, a kitchen, as well as a workroom. But we've got the ability to show them you can harvest water, you can reuse water versus running off into stormwater systems, especially if they're in an urban setting. We also have a greenhouse where we're teaching hydroponics and aquaponics. Again, old technologies, ancient technologies. You think of the Hanging Gardens of Babylon, one of the 7 ancient wonders of the world. This is green walls. This is green roofs. This is hydroponics. You look at the Mexican culture, the Inca cultures, and they use chinampas, which are floating islands. So we actually also do the aquaponics. We even look to Austria and Germany and hugelkultur, where you actually take previous carbon-based life forms, trees, bury those underneath a large berm, and for years that acts as a sponge to help harness water and slowly break down to feed the plants that you choose to plant on that hugel bed. We also encourage students to look, study. Not only do you need to look at new seeds that have come out for vegetables that you want to produce, possibly for high yield, possibly for disease resistance. Don't negate those, but also think about heirloom seeds. Think about tried and true seeds that have been around for generation, generation, and generation, because when it comes down to it, the farmer is who's going to preserve those genetics of those ancient and those heirloom variety of seeds that we see and that we utilize at our facility. Probably one of the ones that I think of is the choppy or choppy okra that we actually got the seed from Dr. David Bradshaw, who is one of our biggest inspirations. He was an instructor of pretty much everybody that teaches here at Spartanburg Community College, in the horticulture department reveres him as sort of a horticultural, agricultural hero. And we got that seed from him. So that's one of those things we're continuing to pass on. Another thing we try to do, and this is just getting in tune with nature and sort of looking at what's going on around you, is think about natural cycles and put yourself not as somebody that manages the cycles, but actually a part of the machine, a part of the mechanism. And so another little tidbit that I'll share, and I sort of consider it traditional ecological knowledge. And that tradition could come from Mexico. That tradition could come from 6 Mile, South Carolina, where Dr. David Bradshaw lives. But Dr. Bradshaw said, eat your Thanksgiving lunch, then go out, get some exercise, and sow your lettuce seed for your spring crop at Thanksgiving, because the soil temperature is still warm enough, they'll germinate, and they'll sit there about the size of the quarter. And then as we start to warm in the spring, those plants will have a head start on most that wait to plant in the spring. So it's paying attention to natural cycle sources, putting yourself into the machine. And I think we've done a good job of incorporating new technologies, but yet looking at old technology and see how we can rebrand those, reuse those, and make folks more self-sufficient, as well as make folks eat healthier. Another plus to our program is the majority of our produce, of course, students, if you sign up for our classes, you take produce home, but the majority of our produce we are able to donate to Miracle Hill Homeless Shelter, and we've donated thousands of pounds for the past several summers to Miracle Hill, which is a good, reaching out to the community and helping the community, and we've been real proud of that effort. So it's something that we're still growing. It's something that we have the ability to continue to add to. We don't have any small animals on site at this point, but as the program grows, we could even bring chickens, we could bring goats and things like that. But I just thank you for the time for sharing this information.
Excellent, Jay. Thank you. Our final finalist in this category is VR Monday. And I assume VR stands for virtual reality. So Kyle, introduce yourself and tell us more about your innovation.
Sure. Thank you so much, everyone. It's wonderful hearing all these projects. They're really inspirational. And we want to thank InnoVision for its special role that it plays in South Carolina. It's really comforting to know that there's this grassroots volunteer-led organization that encourages us and supports us to take our ideas forward and to market. So thank you very much. And to the sponsors that keep this going. I'm gonna introduce our team real quick. They're not here with us. They want to be. Some of them are finishing their homework. Some are students and researchers. And then I'll just jump into a little bit of what we do and why. The why is gonna be a big part of this. So our team is composed of, there's 7 of us. There's a researcher, myself, and then some support. And then we have a few students Myself, Kyle Anderson, Senior Director of Global Engagement at Clemson University. Maggie Guerre Ayala, and she works in Global Learning Partnerships and Initiatives. And Nate Newsom, who is sort of Clemson's resident virtual reality researcher and expert. He works for the Clemson Sunoco Institute, and we're the administrators and directors on the project. And then we have some of our engineers in landscape architecture, mechanical engineering, and computer science. And there are Madeline Stafford, Nana Kim, Gavin Vasquez, and Michael O'Brien. And that team will continue to grow. We're working with them right now. So what we're doing is essentially creating a 3D environments, virtual reality environments in which students in higher education around the world can interact. And why are we doing this? Every institution, higher ed institution in the world has made internationalization part of their mission. So every student that goes to a university is expecting to have some kind of, or it's built into the mission of a university, for those students to learn how to collaborate with others, especially others that are different with them. Because like in all our businesses, that's going to happen, particularly in the upstate here in South Carolina, where we pride ourselves on our international business community. Now, so for Clemson, that's about 25,000 students. In the US, that's 20 million students. And then in the world, that's 200 million students that are trying to have these, what we call global learning experiences. The gold standard to get these global learning experiences has always been study abroad, someone moving across an international border. But only about 10% of students at best ever experience that. And then when tragedy strikes, like happened in March, me and my entire office were not only progressing, trying to get that 10%, we were undoing everything. We brought everyone home. So we didn't have anyone having that experience. But the universities around the world didn't change their mission. Students are still hungry for, a recent call I had with some of our partners in the Middle East, they're hungry for connection globally with their colleagues and peers. Businesses want it even more because we're all working in virtual space. So there continues to be an increase of pressure and desire for people to get this kind of learning, but it's really only happening 2D Zoom right now. And what our team found, we jumped right onto the VR research. A lot of it's coming out of Stanford. Their virtual human interaction lab finds that 3D virtual reality is superior to the 2D educational experience. And so we just said, okay, well, the VR tools are out there. We see them all. They're being used in the gaming sphere. They're being used in medical spheres. They're being used in business, actually, for training of employees. Why can't we do it in higher ed for intercultural learning? So that's why we jumped on it. So what we do is, like I mentioned, we create these foreign cultural environments, and they're ones that right now they're modeled on where students might otherwise go if they were on a study abroad. And they're done with our partners over there. So they're not meant to just be something visually that you see, like you might watch a tourist video of a certain city, but you're meant to inhabit that space with others. And so what you're doing is that's that intercultural communication happening. And so that pre-professional training that you want in an employee, that these international companies want in an employee, is happening in that space. It's happening in a foreign language. They're doing virtual projects together. They're getting cultural content in that space as well, and seeing authentic architectural spaces. So right now, what we've done is we've created a prototype of Cordoba, Argentina, with our partners in the University of Blas Pascal. And that's going to be run in its very basic form this November. And then the full prototype will be running by next spring. We're using right now some free software on Mozilla Hubs and some architectural rendering programs. And then we will scale it up in quality by using things like AutoCAD, 3ds Max, and then the engines that build the really high-powered video games that we're all playing, or our children are, in Unity and Unreal. And then we're going to scale that up and move it across to different sites across the world, open it up from our university to other universities, and move in that direction. Thank you.
No, thank you, Kyle. These are phenomenal. I mean, this has been a great experience. Looking through the entries and so forth is one thing, but hearing you describe it brings it to life. So I'm excited by all of you. Thank you for joining us today. And I hope that you can see what those of us at InnoVision can see. These innovations are great, but the people behind them are even greater, more interesting. So they see a problem, they see a need, and they set out and fix it. These are creative people. They're helping other people do something that couldn't be done before. So this is a wonderful experience. So how about a Zoom round of applause? Put your hands up, whatever, for all of these fine innovators and what they've accomplished. Absolutely phenomenal. So what I'd like to do, since we do have a few minutes, is open it up for questions. You can submit your questions either in the chat room, or you can just do the old-fashioned raise your hand, or if you really want to be a Zoomite, you can use the raising your hand feature of Zoom. So any one of those options are available. Any questions you'd like to direct to any of our outstanding finalists? See if I can open up my screen here a little bit so I can see any raised hands. Hunter, I think you're also monitoring the chat area. So if anybody,
Gary Kudinsky has his hand up.
Okay, go for it.
Hi, thanks. Jerry Pulaski with Mission Focal Point Business Coaching, and mine is for Verify, and all of these are incredible, by the way. So thank you to all the finalists. I hate jumping into legalese, but my question for Verify is, as you get more specific on the temperature thing, which is clearly a good capability, where does the line of personal information end and HIPAA begin?
That's a good question, and one we get a lot. So currently HIPAA has extended a waiver for employers to allow them to take temperatures for employees entering the workspace. We're not sure how long that's going to last, but kind of like 20 years after 9/11, we still take our shoes off at the airport. So whether that stays or goes, and also honestly whether the relevance of screening for temperature sticks around, we'll see. Our origins in software development are pre-COVID and pre-temperature screening. So if HIPAA changes or if people decide that temperatures aren't relevant, then we'll figure out something else to do. But to your question, also as far as personally identifiable information, the neat thing with our facial recognition is that we don't capture any personally identifiable information. The software creates what's called a face print, and then we associate that face print with either an employee EID or a badge number. So I don't need to know your name, your date of birth, your social security number, any of that information. I just need to be able to pass along to human resources that this person presented a fever, employee number 12345.
That's cool. Thanks.
Cherish, you had a question?
Yes, I did. My question is for JB. And first, I just wanted to thank InnoVision for the opportunity for the Kim and Leahy Law Firm to sponsor the small business category. We're very excited to be a part of the program. And I wanted to ask JB, I was really intrigued with all of the innovations that were talked about today, but I wonder if have you thought of using your software to monitor other workers' activity? We have a lot of workers that are working remotely nowadays. I didn't know if there's are you looking to pivot yet again in another direction? Just curious.
The answer is yes. And what we do, we record the actions and observations of mobile workers. And the question is, what mobile workers do we focus on? But when you choose a mobile worker, you've got to go through that whole vertical of figuring out how do we do it. We tried farm workers. That worked very well, better than anything else, but we found that the farm owners didn't want that degree of accountability. We do that for inspections, and we're doing that right now, and we can do it for inspections. We're looking for the next mobile worker category to explore, but we believe with in-home caregivers, that offers the greatest value. No one offers what we offer in that category. We provide a unique service and a very important service. So, but we can apply it to many different areas and have applied it to a variety of areas. We're focused right now on in-home caregivers.
Excellent. Yes, I have an elderly grandmother who is in an assisted living place. So I definitely appreciate your invention and what you're doing.
And one little piece there, we're offering now, just to get enough people to give it a try, a beta test or continue the beta test, we offer the 3 months of free service. So for 3 months, you can try it completely free.
Okay.
Excellent.
Excellent. Thank you.
Sure. Kyle, I think you have a question for Tammy. Unmute.
Yeah. No, I love the thing that came most through Tammy's presentation was just the excitement. It seems like it's contagious between her and the children that receive these products. And I was thinking in my head, wouldn't it be great if I could see some videos of them like building or getting excited about it? Is there any way is there a platform for that kind of thing?
Absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
We certainly can provide that. And it is exciting. I know we're all very passionate about it. And when we see the light bulb comes on, it just makes our day.
Yeah, I was thinking, I want one of those tech in the boxes. It sounded like some really interesting stuff in there.
Yeah.
And if you were to see my garage, well, my wife would probably discourage that, but nonetheless, that's just fun stuff. Other questions? No? Okay. Yeah, I can feel, I just have so many questions, I don't know where to begin. I suspect.
Michael, I think Blaine had a question.
Oh, Blaine, okay. Blaine, go ahead.
Yeah, I had one for South Carolina Community College. As part of the Sustainable Agriculture Program, I wondered how they're looking into the role of climate change, as they select their agricultural products.
I mean, that's a great question. One of the drivers of looking at harvesting water. So definitely a proponent of that. But we're also trying different, when we start talking about climate change, one thing that we do is we look at not only heirloom seed, but we look at seeds from other continents and other locations. And so we grew this summer several Asian species of beans, and it was very unique to watch their growth habit. We planted them in the spring when we planted everything else, and we were a little late planting due to COVID because our school got shut down and we got started back up rather late. But these beans just sat there and then finally decided to start growing, and we've got a bumper crop now of Asian snake bean, which can range in size 3 to 5 feet, and then an Asian wing bean, which are very unique as well. So it's just sitting here trying different things to see what works where, and continually pushing the envelope of what can you grow here and how does it best perform.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. Aaron, did you have a question?
I'm sorry.
Oh, I thought I saw your hand up there.
Well, I do have a question. Does somebody else have a question? No, I was going to follow up that with Jay. I guess the report is out recently about the impact of agriculture or homegrown food over the past, how it's grown over the past 10 years and the number of new jobs now that people are buying local. So how is that impacting what you're doing?
I mean, we have some folks that want to go to work on a farm. We've got some graduates that have had, whether you realize it or not, there's a microgreens producer right down on the Tiger River Smart Farms, and we have had 3 or 4 graduates go to work there just for greenhouse growing of microgreens. So there is an interest. Our program's very unique because we get everything from young people that want to go into farming. We've got I'll drop a name here, but some people may know Michael Brown, who's an attorney here in town. He's also on the county council, and he just likes the idea of being self-sufficient. And so he's come through and went through our Sustainable Ag program. So you can't put your finger on the pulse of everybody that's coming through, Another thing that our school does is if you are of retirement age, you can take our classes for free if you are a resident of the state of South Carolina. So we're getting retirees that want to come in. Maybe they didn't have a career in agriculture. We've had people that, were computer tech people that just come in and say, all right, it's time to change gears. I want to learn how to do this and become more self-sufficient on my own. So it's been really interesting to look at the subset of people that have come into the program this far, because you can't pigeonhole it and say, well, we're targeting just young farmers that want to do this. It's been an array of folks coming into the program. So it's almost like we're so early in the program that we don't know what our student looks like at this point, but it's been fun to have who we've had to this point.
Good. Thank you.
Excellent. Well, we're drawing to an end of our formal time. And so, Amy, do you want to give the folks here a little preview of what is yet to come? You're on mute.
Yes, I hope that everyone will come to the last of our Meet the Finalists series. Next Tuesday at 4, we'll be featuring the COVID-19 response category. And Blaine, remind me, I think there are there are 3 subcategories, so maybe a larger number of finalists will go for about an hour and a half, I believe. But again, lots of pivots, lots of very creative ideas coming from South Carolina in response to the pandemic. And then, of course, the award celebration. Please mark your calendar for November 17th at 3:30. And there are benefits to being virtual. No one has to drive an hour and a half or 2 hours to come to one central location. Also, there is no charge, so you can invite friends, family, colleagues, customers, vendors, and let's just celebrate all the innovation that has occurred in South Carolina. It really is impressive. It's uplifting. It's exciting. It's invigorating. So we hope to see you there. And thank you, everyone, for taking time to fill out the application. We know it was a year where there were many things competing for your time and attention, but it's certainly been very gratifying for us to see the level of innovation. And we hope that the finalist experience has been one that's been gratifying for you as well.
Excellent. Thank you, Amy. And we look forward to seeing you all next week. And if not, at the final awards ceremony. Thank you all for joining us today.